I hope that all the NASCAR teams know that, unless I'm missing something here, it's not law. They don't have to announce everything this week because it feels like everything has been announced this week. But another major announcement in the NASCAR world, we've had teams expanding, multiple teams expanding. We've had new crew chiefs going to different places. We've had a complete rebrand of a team. We've had reshuffling of an organization's higher-ups. What else could happen this week? Well, how about this? Chris Gabehart will no longer be the crew chief for Denny Hamlin. Instead, it will be the other Chris Gayle. Yes, Joe Gibbs Racing announced some changes in the organization. It's quite the unexpected turn of events, but we will look at both sides of this. But first, let's see what Joe Gibbs Racing said. Joe Gibbs Racing has promoted Chris Gabehart to competition director. Chris Gayle will become crew chief for Denny Hamlin and the number 11 team. Crew chief for the number 54 team will be announced at a later date. So Chris Gayle, previously the crew chief for Ty Gibbs. He's also been the crew chief for Eric Jones back when he was at JGR. Chris Gayle is now going over to the 11 team, and Chris Gabehart is going to be the competition director, so overlooking all four teams at JGR, all the competition stuff, I'm sure there's some technical stuff in there, and I'm sure there's got to be some off-track stuff as well, maybe. But this is a big shift. This is a massive change because Denny Hamlin and Chris Gabehart have had a lot of success together. 22 of Hamlin's 54 wins have come with Chris Gabehart since 2019. They've made multiple Final Fours together. They've won multiple Daytona 500s. They've won a lot of races together, as I said. And when you look at Denny Hamlin's career before Chris Gabehart, yes, he had already had a lot of success. He had won a Daytona 500 previous to Chris Gabehart. He had competed for championships previous to Gabehart. He had won big races, but I'm talking about that direct period. Like those 5 years before Gabehart, Hamlin was going through a rough stretch. From 2013 to 2018, he only won more than 2 races once, and it was 2016. Other than that, he won once in 2013, once in 2014, twice in 2015, twice in 2017, winless in 2018. And then Chris Gabehart arrives. He won 6 races in 2019, 7 in 2020, and then he's won 2, 2, 3, and 3 since then. So when you look at their career together in just a short time span, that's 6 seasons together? That's a lot of success. That's nearly more than 3 wins a year. I mean, that's a pretty dang successful duo. But why would they split? Why would they change this? If they've had so much success together, why would they shuffle things up? Well, here's the interesting part. Did you know Denny Hamlin won 3 races this year, but all 3 of those wins came in the first 11 races of the season? That's right. Denny Hamlin has not won since race 11 of the Cup Series season, so that was 25 races ago. We have a 36-race season, in case the math doesn't add up. So Denny Hamlin hasn't won in 25 races, and outside of Denny Hamlin, Joe Gibbs Racing hasn't won since New Hampshire. That was 18 races ago. That was the halfway point of the season. 9 different organizations have won a race since Joe Gibbs Racing last won. I'm not saying 9 drivers. 9 organizations. I'm talking Hendrick, Penske, 2311, Trackhouse, Roush, even Stenhouse and JTG, Doherty, Hayek Motorsports, whatever they're called now. They've won a race more recently. RCR's won a race more recently than Joe Gibbs Racing. And it's not that Joe Gibbs Racing has suddenly just fallen off a cliff. They're running 10th to 15th and they don't lead laps. Christopher Bell dominated at Las Vegas. Martin Truex Jr. picked up a couple of poles late in the season. They still have speed. They still are good. It's just the last half of the season they didn't put the results together. I think that this was the first year since the playoff elimination format. This was the first time Joe Gibbs Racing didn't make the Final Four. Hamlin got eliminated in the round of 8. Gibbs and Truex got eliminated in the first round. And then Bell, of course, as we know, controversially, was eliminated due to the wall ride. And also, when you look at Joe Gibbs Racing in 2024, I mentioned that they're on an 18 race winless streak as an organization. Hamlin's on a 25 race winless streak. Half of their cars this year didn't win a race. Ty Gibbs and Martin Truex Jr. were the winless ones. Now, Truex, you can throw that as a potential, different kind of thing because he was retiring, and a lot of people, was he already kind of done already? Anyway, that's a whole another discussion for another day. But for two Joe Gibbs Racing cars to go winless and it not be like last year, Hendrick, Elliott and Bowman went winless. But you look at the circumstance. Elliott missed, 8 races because of injury. Bowman missed 4 or 5. And it's like, okay, that kind of really messed things up with them. They had to do some aggressive stuff to try to win and make the playoffs. And after that, the playoffs hit. You got to focus on the cars in the playoffs, blah, blah, blah. But this year, all 4 teams were pretty normal, pretty operational. It's definitely weird. And I'm not saying that Joe Gibbs Racing is about to fall off a cliff. I'm just saying 2024 was an odd mark for Joe Gibbs Racing to have 2 winless cars, to have one car, arguably your best car, not win since July, and then your second best car not win since April. It's just kind of mind-blowing when you look at the numbers. But as I said, Chris Gabehart and Denny Hamlin, they've been a dynamic duo in a sense since 2019 when they teamed up. The championship, I think they made those first 3 championship 4s, 2019, 2020, 2021. I actually don't think they've made one since. I don't think they made one in the next gen era. They made the round of 8 every year, I think. But as I said, they've won a lot of races together. They've had a lot of success. They've won big races. They've won other races. I don't want to call a race small, but they've won at all different types of racetrack. They made the championship 4. They've had all sorts of success, and now they're splitting up. And Denny Hamlin himself, he said he was shocked when he got the news when Joe Gibbs Racing called him into the office at 6 p.m. or 6, I think they said 6 p.m. He said he doesn't like the 6 p.m. meetings anymore because that's also the time he got the news of the engine penalty back in August. But Joe Gibbs Racing announcing that Chris Gabehart no longer the crew chief for Denny Hamlin. Very big deal. Chris Gayle stepping in. I'm curious to see how Gayle and Hamlin are going to do together because Chris Gayle, when you look at what he's done in the Cup Series as a crew chief, he's always been put with young drivers. Ty Gibbs, obviously, they had a lot of success in the Xfinity Series, 2 years in the Cup Series together, and they made a step forward this year. They made the playoffs, doubled the top 5s of last year, more top 10s than last year. Average finishing position was a position better, but as I said, winless still. But you go back to Eric Jones, and they won a couple of races together. They won that Southern 500 together in 2019. But I'm curious to see how Chris Gayle is going to mesh with a veteran, with a longtime driver. Denny Hamlin kind of talked about, they did a media kind of thing at the awards ceremony or before the awards ceremony, asking Hamlin what he thought. And he basically just said, I need him to be honest with me. If I'm lacking in a certain area on the racetrack and the data tells him that Chris Gayle needs to tell him, hey, you need to improve here. You need to do this better. And in that case, they'll be able to have a successful crew chief driver relationship. But it's something different for Chris Gayle. It's going to be something different for Denny Hamlin. Kind of a surprising change here. But as competition director, Chris Gabehart, we'll see how he does. But when you look at the numbers, it's been weird for Joe Gibbs Racing as of late. Once again, I don't think they're going to fall off a cliff anytime soon. They're not going to be bad, but they still had speed this year. They still were good, but it's odd that they haven't won a race since July. Hamlin hasn't won since April. Truex went winless, and Gibbs went winless. But anyways, that should be all for today, I hope, maybe. More Las Vegas Grand Prix stuff tonight. Yeah, it's going to be a late night again, so that'll be fun. But I did a poll on what you want me to do on Saturday night / Sunday morning for watching the race. Make sure to go vote on that poll. Thanks again for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.